Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Silent Hill Ascension post show. I am here joined by Jacob, Eduardo, and we're surrounded by Eric stickers, Jacob.
Yeah, well, I mean, finally they like him. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. Well, speaking of them liking them, so what happened? We got kind of like the fake out there. We're like, oh, Eric's redeemed, talking to his best bud, Toby, takes him down. So what happened there?
Well, I mean, there's a break there, right? Because it's both fate and hope. And both of those need to be there in order for him to get the best possible outcome. He was redeemed, which we saw, which is good. But his hope wasn't high enough. And we've said consistently, and you've repeated, 100 times at this point, that hope needs to be, hope needs to be high enough to survive a crucial story moment. Every time there's a final fate choice, that is when the system measures and changes the outcome based off of it. So Britt was positive hope and redemption. She got the best outcome there was. She's alive. Carl, same deal. Right now we are trending toward a situation where Astrid will be okay. But we are trending toward a situation where Rachel will not. The trickiest part with these systems too is that they have to mean something over the course of the whole season, right? We can't just let you arbitrarily flip the switch based off of one successful Endure at the end of it, because then every Endure up until then and every mindfulness puzzle wouldn't have made a difference. And so, especially when the chat was tanking Eric in Endure, that harmed his hope quite a bit and not contributing enough into the mindfulness puzzles quite a bit. We haven't changed those settings, right? Those have been consistent. So it's really been about the contribution of the audience. So there's a little bit more time left to make the improvements for both Astrid and for Rachel in terms of their hope and to keep them on that redemption path. But, we are steadily running toward their final fates.
Well, that's actually, I guess, part of the reason to be here. Because, to be fair, it is public. It did get announced on some social platforms. I actually saw that. But the end of the canon run. So, Jacob, we're able to say when the last scenes will air. Our production team's going to put up on screen some info, which I'll read, and then I'll hand it over to you to kind of run us through it. But as our production team puts that up, end of canon run. The last scenes of the canon run in Silent Hill Ascension will air on Wednesday, April 24th at 6 p.m. PT Pacific time. This is the usual time. You will be able to tune in live with our host team at 5:40 p.m. Pacific as we close the curtain on the story. And together, we will experience Astrid and Rachel meeting their final fate. So that's the kind of top level side of things. But Jacob, it's been a run.
It's been a run. I said in all of the interviews leading up to Ascension's launch that we were looking at about a 6-month run time for the main canon. We've hit that. It's almost exactly 6 months since the launch of the project. And this is actually longer than we originally expected because it was a 16-week original experience that should have ended late February, but when we made the change from 7 days a week to 5 days a week, it got extended as a result. So we are a little bit later than I expected, but that's also why the announcement on the last canon scenes is coming now, because we ourselves didn't know when the finale was going to run. We're building the show as we're doing it with you guys, the audience, and we've progressed far enough that we know basically when the last scenes are going to air at this point in time, which is good. That means the last Endure is going to be the day before the 23rd, because once the ending is done, it doesn't make sense to run Endure again. And then from there, we move immediately into What If. So I can talk about that if that's interesting.
Yeah, we can go into it. Like, I definitely don't want to minimize that. The 24th is a can't miss show. If you like tuning in live to our shows, definitely make time on the 24th. Very much worth your time. We're going to make it worth your time. I know the hosted show team, so to speak, we're little trying to put something a little bit special, for that little last day. But let's talk about What If, because while it is the last show of the canon run, so to speak, it's not the end of us showing up on screen, because we have we call it the what if season. We try to find a more catchy name, but we'll have a what if show essentially, Jacob. So I'll let you handle the details there.
Yeah, so the way that this is going to work is the following. We have filmed, and you have seen, even recently you've seen, that we have all of the alternate scenes that should air every single night. And sometimes the system does wrong things, or things are input wrong, and you see a scene that's wrong relative to what the choice was, and we fix it in the VODs later. So the content is there, it's built. There were basically 1,000 or so different ways that the series could have run based off of all of the different choices involved. I don't just mean the choices that happen each night, because there are 3 of them, but you see that we have things called callbacks, where events that you guys chose in the past come back and are referenced, right, creating a continuity between all of those scenes. Those callbacks are part of what creates all those variations. So I've been talking about this on social media, but there are 6 different ways that a character can end up. Redemption plus good hope, redemption plus bad hope, suffering plus good hope, suffering plus bad hope, damnation plus good hope, damnation plus bad hope. So that's 6 different ways something can end. But if you look at just Toby's, ending, there were 45 different ways that scene can go down, because they reference previous content. The characters talk about different events that had happened in the past. And so, it's not just the 6 versions there, but it's also including 2 references to previous callbacks, each of which had 3 options each. So, becomes a much larger multiplication of it. And so the way that we've been building the series, the original way that it had been built was everything was real-time rendered and real-time run, and the engine was managing the state of all of the different characters and choices and decisions. And Behavior built an entire world state manager for this purpose, and Endure actually still runs off of real-time, and I'll talk more about that in a second. But we ran into issues prior to launch where the engine just couldn't render the metahumans at high enough quality with all the facial hair when we had 2 or more in a scene. So what we began doing to make sure that quality of the visuals was high enough was we would record those, offline render them, and then put them into the engine. Basically film them as scenes, which is why they look really good. Endure is still real time. And that's why you get in Endure, for example, pop-ups and inconsistency with lighting and hair, because it's not a pre-rendered video. It's the engine rendering all the characters in real time. But the engine right now is taking the scenes that we've filmed and, based off of your choices, showing them. And so the way which we've been filming it is, as you've been making the choices, we've been rendering those scenes on big, beefy machines that are rendering 4K versions to also go to Sony Pictures Core and Tubi and everything else. And we have every scene that had to potentially run each night. So as an example, for the scenes that would air tonight, or for the scenes that would air with Eric, every possible version of it was prepared. But what we didn't do was every previous possible past variation based off of the world state manager. So as an example, let's use Eva getting the gun versus not getting the gun. So we chose to give Eva the gun in the cannon run. Both scenes, Eva getting the gun and Eva not getting the gun, were filmed. But going forward, all the scenes that we filmed assume that Eva got the gun, because that was how the canon run worked. So the way that it's going to work in What If is you guys are going to see all of the scenes that we have filmed, that we have prepared, that we have rendered in it. And so you're going to see all the alternates that you didn't get to watch, but they are always going to collapse back to the canon choices, because that's the way in which we filmed the series. So you'll see Eva not getting the gun. But going forward, the next scene after that is still going to refer to Eva getting the gun because those are the scenes that we filmed. Similarly, you'll see the choices where Rachel takes out her eye, takes out Eric's eye, etc. But after you see the alternate versions of that scene going forward, it's always going to be Rachel with the eye missing because otherwise we've got 1,000 variations possible there. So the what if is going to give you an opportunity to see everything that we filmed, and we filmed a massive amount of additional content there, but it will always collapse back to the canon that the audience has built, and that's really important for us. The way that we're going to be working this is the first week's choices are going to reopen the moment that the last Canon Run stream airs. So we're basically restarting this. It's a pseudo New Game Plus, as it were. And all of your points should still be there. And if you didn't collect those early moments, you're going to get a chance to recollect those moments through this process. And I've missed one, shamefully. I don't know how that happened. I guess I forgot to bid that day. But you'll be able to collect those moments again. And then those decisions will close at the end of the week. We'll open the next week's decision, and the following day, we're going to have a show with Eduardo and team. I think Noah is running the first few weeks of that, where we'll show the alternate scenes, and we'll talk to you about it. And all those alternate scenes that get unlocked through What If are going to be available through a special What If section of the app and through the playlist. So you will see basically versions where Eric lives at the end of it, all of the different kind of versions of it that you would normally expect to get through like a Bandersnatch thing. But we're going to make you work to get it. So you do have to unlock those decisions by participating each week, and the puzzles will still be available. The whole back catalog of puzzles plus new puzzles each day will be there. And we don't have an end date for What If in the same way that we don't have an end date. We didn't have an end date up until recently for the main season. So it'll go on as long as we need to unlock all the choices there. But man, it's going to be a continuously long journey here. We're kind of restarting everything from the beginning, which is going to be exciting. We massively improved the visual pipeline, so you'll go back on that journey again. We've got our first few weeks of animation, and then we get a lot better after we fixed our pipelines in the winter break. And part of that actually came from shifting resources from Endure to cinematics. So I said I would speak more to Endure. Endure is all real time. It's very hard. And there were many other locations for Endure, including Factory and a few other sets. And we had to make a call back in basically November or so if we were going to put the cinematic resources into Endure or improve the cinematics in the show. And we decided to put the resources that were there in Endure into the show. So, we built additional Endure scenes, but we didn't go and build all those new locations. And the benefit is the cinematics look way, way better. But these are just the way in which resources work in any game production. And I think that you've seen the results, and we're very happy with those results. So that's it. We're not going to be running Endure during What If because, hope doesn't matter in the What If series, which is to say, whatever hope outcome the character resulted in, which right now it's looking like 3 positive, 3 negative, we're going to show you the opposite of it because rerunning and resulting in the exact same.
Okay, so for example, just sorry to interrupt. So for example, Eric here, negative hope. So in the What If season, we're going to see positive, right?
We're going to see the positive, right? Okay. I'd rather just show the opposite.
So basically Norway and Pennsylvania reverse polarity, so to speak. Okay, got it.
Precisely. Yeah. The whole purpose of the Endures was to adjust the hope system, right? Along with the mindfulness puzzles. So we're going to make those things irrelevant. You're going to be able to just see the opposites of it. We're unlocking it for you.
Okay.
So that's it. I think I've given a general overview. And then we've got our next series coming up. So as we are winding down on this and preparing for What If, we've got Borderlands and DC coming. So the teams are going to be keeping quite busy. But happy to take audience questions, things that people are curious about, anything I didn't address.
Yeah, I'll recap quickly some of your key points from What If, and then I have a few audience questions here. And then obviously you can continue, audience. We're keeping track. Don't worry. We see the stuff. So one of the big things, right, is there's, a live show with What If. We'll get the details. Like obviously, like on Friday and Monday, we're going to get we're going to recap kind of the What If details so that none of you in the audience are going to miss out on anything. We'll make sure that's there. But Jacob, obviously, you gave a lot more detail on what's up. But that'll be in our company. So if you liked our company, you'll get to see more of that, which is, well, I'm looking forward to it. Now, I got some questions here that we held. So Johnny Zombie Boy, Jacob, should Eric have gone with Krista?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I really wanted to see that. I was pushing for that. I'm very disappointed we didn't get that. I was secretly putting points toward that, even though we're not supposed to. But people here can't tell me what to do, so it's the benefit of it. But I couldn't make the difference there. I really, really wish that he would have gone with it. I like Krista. I like her. Like, she's the only one who's really honest and has been from the beginning and has been consistent and has been upfront and, in my opinion, isn't deceptive.
Oh, yeah. No, you can hate her, but she's not deceptive about it. And you got to have characters you love to hate and you love to love. It's important.
I like her. I think she's great. I think she would have been better with Eric than Rachel was, but that's my own bias.
Oh, well, that's for sure. That I think is a no-brainer, given how great that relationship is. Now, Mr. Peaslaw, this is a more specific, individual question, but Jacob, please explain the cameo I got without winning one. I'm so confused. Okay,
so you and Atai, I don't know how to pronounce the name, we're both using a similar beard that the real-time engine was having trouble with rendering in Endure that day. We were testing it, as we test with everything, and we weren't seeing the beard pop up. I think we fixed it in the build that we produced tonight, but in any case, your character wasn't appearing correctly, so I told the team, put him in a cinematic cameo, and that's what they did. And when you run the thing, you can make calls like that. So
that's good.
Congrats.
Also, Ate let us know it's Ate, so we're good there. Pretty curious. I can answer this one because you answered it, Jacob. So no more Endure after the canon story? Nope. Drew, will there still be daily puzzles, or how will influence points work?
Yeah, there's still daily puzzles. So we're not going to be doing the super complicated ones like Buried Memories, but the ones that are easily repeatable will have new ones each day. I don't think as many as we're doing each day right now, but still new ones each day. And if you've missed out on any rewards, you'll still be able to earn the rewards through that process too. And the IP packs go off sale at the point at which we're doing What If. So no more opportunity to purchase those. The only way in which you'll be able to earn influence points is through puzzle work and goals, your daily goals as usual.
So I'm going to read now back. Arte Musarjev. I'll read it. Are there any hidden ships we missed this run?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I think that Eric and Krista was the main one that we didn't get enough to see of. But I'm excited to see where Hagrid goes, because it looks like they've broken up. But
yeah, looks.
You never know how we can continue to change that. And those endings that are coming for Astrid and Rachel have a lot of complications and a lot of branches based off of everything that the audience has done up until now. So this is where the products that we build are very different than, for example, like a standard choose your own adventure type title, because in in something like a Dragon Age or a Mass Effect 3, where you've got just like massive numbers of dialogues, they tend to always just resolve back into this. But the way in which we've been building the product, again, we're adjusting scripts and we're adjusting animations, we're filming, we're literally having debates right now with our Cinemax director, Augustin, about some of those final scenes and how we're filming them. They're all based off of the choices you guys have made. If you hadn't made those choices, the scenes would not be the way that they are. And again, those scenes are television and still be watchable decades from now. And so they create meaning. We're able to invest ourselves into that meaning in different ways. And so those relationships are real. Like I've loved adventure games since I was a kid. Like I loved the Monkey Island series. I was at Square Enix. We did the Life is Strange series. I loved that, but I was always bothered with like, what is the actual canon ending here supposed to be? Right? Especially at the end of Life is Strange, where you have to make that kind of horrible decision, whether that best friend that you love should live or die. And it was like, which one is real here? Do I have to listen to the developers tell me which is real? Is because I chose it, is it real?
I still have my copy sealed of that one. I don't know what to do with it yet, but we'll figure that out. We got a few more questions, so I have a mix here. So there were a few people asking about a physical release. I think there's an idea of like, oh, is the canon run going to be something I can basically, I guess, let's call it a VHS, the canon run, like, or something.
We got this question last time I was on here, and the answer is anything physical is Konami's domain, not mine. So if you want it, you've got to ask them. It's the reason that when you go and you buy the merch, which I'm wearing the drama shirt, it's Konami's website. So that's their thing. Write to them, tell them you want Blu-ray releases and, a vinyl of the soundtrack and everything else that I want, and knock on wood that we can get it.
Okay. That answers Rainer's question on any merch coming. It's in the same. There was a question, what if Carl never left? Would he have died? That's part of, I think, the pleasure of What If, is you do get to see this kind of stuff. We had a few questions on buried memories. I'm going to use... But
the important thing with Carl, though, is that even though we're going to see the alternate where he dies, and we're also going to see alternate kind of fates for him, it's still going to connect back to canon when we see the scenes after that. So unfortunately, you're not going to see versions of it where he's continuing throughout it, because the canon branch is still what we've been filming for the last 6 months.
Okay. So we have Jimmy Johnson 127. Will all the old Buried Memories puzzles be available?
Yes. Those are very hard, and we don't give you enough time to do those. So yeah, I told the team to throw open the entire archive for those, and you'll have the time to be able to do them. They're a lot of fun. They're also really hard to do, and really hard to localize. Like some of those word puzzles done into Portuguese and Japanese, especially things that connect to like books and folklore, are really difficult.
That's good to know. We had some. I think this is a question, but I think it's a suggestion as a result. Sorrel, will mindfulness puzzles get an influence point boost for completion since the hope system aspect will be voided?
I'll talk to the team about it. I mean, there's no reason why not to, but they're also kind of consistent with the other puzzles as far as I know. So it's more a question of, do we adjust the number of points you get for every puzzle?
Yeah, right. Especially with, I guess the previous results in, that's going to be a balance. Somebody, Martyr TXD1 asked, will rerun last as long as canon run, 21 weeks? So I'm going to answer this. You said, we're going to see how long it lasts, but, to start with, we'll do week by week.
Yeah, so I'll just answer straight up. I don't know right now. It really depends on whether the audience wants to stick around for it or not. If you guys stick around for it, then I'll keep it going throughout. It basically will run until October. But if there's dwindling interest in it, then we'll just unlock stuff for you, and that'll be the end of it. It was meant to be a way for the community to keep going and unlock stuff, but I'll make things available, not everything, but some parts of it available if there just isn't enough demand to keep it going. It's really a bonus. We look at it as like unlocking the DVD bonuses that you would get on those old school Blu-rays. We don't get that in this streaming age anymore. We don't have those fun extra discs that come, but that's the way that I looked at What If. It's your bonus disc And as long as you guys are here for it and you're interested and excited for it, I'll keep it going. It's fine. Chat will continue for the next while. But later into what if there's just not enough chat interaction going to justify it, we'll probably switch to stickers only outside of the hosted show. We'll make a call on it later this summer, just because there is a moderation team watching the chat at any point in time. But what we don't want is we've got, we're outside of the canon run and we've got low, user numbers happening because it's over. And then chat just becomes a troll fest again. So I have to see how many people are coming back for what if to make that call.
So we also had a question on can we expect connections to the town of Silent Hill in the next week? I guess they can watch. We got a week to go. They can see what's up.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil content either way.
That's actually one of the tenets of our show is we don't spoil content. Well, except for Life is Strange, apparently. There was actually a bunch of people in the audience like, oh no, we can't. Which I thought was good.
I didn't say what the choice was. I just said that it was an important choice.
It's also been a while, right? I know what I am aware of what happens in the original Final Fantasy VII at this point. Having not played the title, I do know what happens.
I mean, any product that's more than a couple of years old, you're past your point in spoilers. Guess what happens at the Red Wedding of Game of Thrones people?
To be fair, if you don't know, that scene is worth watching, but that's a different. So we also had, I think honestly, there were a ton of questions on season 2. I'm not going to name anybody here, but a lot of chance about it. I think you've talked about it before, but any details here?
Yeah, I'll repeat what I said. Right now, as a company, we have to get Borderlands and DC out the door. So as much as I would love to be able to do more, we don't have the staff to focus on that right now. So help us win a Webby Award. It's still going up until tomorrow. We want to be able to say the award-winning Silent Hill Ascension. And then help us out with our next few projects. And the lessons that we've learned here are really going to strongly improve those projects, and then we can get back to working on the things that everybody loves. But we have an entire roadmap of content that we have to get to, and I am very excited for the way in which we've learned what worked and didn't work in Ascension for the next couple of titles. Eduardo, you know what's coming in terms of next. You've seen of how we've done those improvements, and those projects look amazing. So please do come show up for it and help support us.
To be fair, I think the audience will get another chance to see how much this Silent Hill Ascension itself improved, right? Because for the audience, I've been rewatching some of the older the older scenes, and there's a difference. We'll enjoy it. It's kind of like but yeah, so. To be honest, I think we've answered most of the audience questions. A lot of, maybe we haven't got into your questions, audience. And also there's a few questions like when Borderlands and when...
we can't answer those here. Like that, this is a show we're doing with Konami. It wouldn't be fair to Warner Brothers or Gearbox and 2K. But those will be answered in time. Yeah.
So they're like no more labels in the future for some people, but
that is one of the lessons. Look, I mean, we learned a lot here, right? That one is definitely a lesson that we learned that makes products better. So go ahead.
Right. I'll give you a last question, like a little bit of a fun one, and then a last statement, and then we'll close it down. But did we miss any Bruiser scenes because of our choices? I think I was a fan of the Bruiser, Midnight Toe, and they wanted to see more of them. Are there more scenes with the Bruiser that we just missed?
That is a good question. That's a question for Stefan rather than me, though. I don't have the mental memory of every alternate state, but probably. I mean, we saw him in the background of a couple scenes in Pennsylvania, but I don't recall whether he is or is not in the alts.
Yeah. There's a question about cameos in What If. I think we're keeping them as is, right?
Yeah, every cameo that happened is the same in What If, because the way that it worked was you won the cameo for all three possibilities that day, right? So all 3 renders of the different choices had your cameo in it. So that's it. There's no more cameo contests once What If starts. You have been permanently in that story, even in the extras.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're kind of out of questions, but I'll read some last statements, Jacob. We had Rainimer thanking us. Lots of fun. Can't believe just a few weeks left. I mean, it's literally next week. We will be different people on the other side, literally. But no, honest, I think that's mainly it. The audience had a good time from what I can read here. I didn't mention the stuff around the soundtracks. There was a lot of love for the soundtracks as well.
Music's amazing, man. I love it too.
So that's good. So I think on that note, we should kind of close it down for tonight. I'm going to ask our kind of production crew to put up our next show, right? So I could actually tell you what the literal next free shows are at this point. We got Friday, we got Monday, we got Wednesday. That's it. There are literally free hosted shows left. There are 2 more scenes, obviously, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific and Tuesday as well at 6 p.m. Pacific. You do get to experience more scenes, so those will still be there. But from the host side, we'll be there. And then we'll be there at What If. We'll literally be the What If show. We will show the scenes.
You are the What If show.
We'll be the ones.
Yeah.
So, you'll, and for the community, we want to make sure you get kind of your weekly hangout time. A lot of you were like, oh, what do I do? I'm going to lose it. So we're going to try to keep it up so that you have a little bit of a weekly time. It's like, Jacob, as you know, the other projects, they're in the oven. They need time to cook. It's like, we'll take care of hosting people, having some tea, some biscuits, make sure that everybody's nice and relaxed as the cake cooks. So
as we get ready for what's coming. Yeah. We're excited.
Yeah, or somebody's left drinking.
Well.
Somebody's drinking at the hotel, the Ice Hotel, by the way, I hope.
If I could say some last words, because I'm not showing up on any of the other streams. I told the host this is your show going forward. I want to thank everybody who's been showing up every day since the beginning. That positive community is something that Konami and our production teams have noticed and really find meaningful. I wish we had been able to build it from the start and not been troll bombarded to have to shut chat off for the first month and a half. But you can't control what you can't control, and we've improved the systems enough that hopefully for the next projects we won't have those issues at launch. But again, we appreciate everything. We've been trying to keep every promise that we made. And we thank everybody for the feedback that we've been able to use to improve the products. And again, just wanted to say from the dev team, thanks for being here.
No, thank you, Jacob, for the last words for the audience. And I see a lot of love from the audience. And I did want to shout out the people who are probably on the European continent checking our show at 2, 3 a.m. That's a pretty good commitment.
Yeah, we appreciate that too. But
yeah.
I mean, look, as people said, we're all just AI, right? I'm AI and you're AI and Roman's AI. All of us are just AIs. So, we could just do this forever.
I'm AI. My hair can't be generated correctly. It's just a mess every time.
Look, all those voice actors that we've had are definitely AI. So we AI appreciate everything from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.
That's fair. All right, everybody. Yeah, they're excited about the hat off and all that. But we're going to shut it down for tonight. I hope all of you had a lovely time wherever you are around the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, night, deep night, extremely deep night. We do appreciate it. Thank you, Jacob, again for being here. There's a few more shows left, so it's still not the end of it. We will see you though in those future shows. So again, tomorrow you've seen 6 p.m. Pacific, and on Friday, 5:40 p.m. Pacific. That should be Noah and Layla keeping you company. So please do take care, and we'll see you next show. Bye all.